The West has been baking under a relentless, record-shattering heatwave, one that has arrived months ahead of schedule, catching communities off guard and rewriting expectations for what spring should feel like. March has felt more like July, with temperatures soaring far above normal and the landscape taking on the look of midsummer drought. Lawns have browned, trees have wilted, and the air itself seems to shimmer with heat. A powerful dome of high pressure has settled over the region, trapping heat and smog and pushing both communities and critical infrastructure to the brink of failure. The relentless sun has turned cities into ovens and the countryside into a tinderbox. Power grids are strained as air conditioners run day and night. Crops are confused by the sudden, intense warmth, with some budding too early and others wilting before their time. Millions of people, especially the elderly and vulnerable, face serious health risks from the early, unyielding heat. This event has rewritten climate records across the West, with dozens of cities smashing previous highs. It's a troubling precedent, raising urgent questions about what the coming summer might bring if this is only the beginning. But change is coming. On the horizon, a major shift in the weather pattern is brewing, promising relief but also uncertainty. A series of powerful Pacific storms is poised to sweep ashore, breaking the heat's grip and ushering in a wave of cooler, moister air. These storms are gathering strength over the ocean, ready to make landfall. The transition will be abrupt and dramatic. Temperatures are expected to plunge by as much as 30 degrees in some areas, and rain will finally return to landscapes that have been parched for weeks. 3 storms are lined up in quick succession, each bringing much-needed rain to the valleys, snow to the mountains, and a dramatic cool-down for cities that have been sweltering. However, these storms also bring new hazards, gusty winds that could fan wildfires, and the risk of flash flooding on ground baked hard by drought. Emergency crews are on high alert, watching for any sign of trouble. The main headline: the record heat is about to break, replaced by a stormy, cooler pattern that will test the region's resilience in new ways. Relief is finally in sight, but the transition will be anything but gentle. Lightning, heavy rain, and sudden temperature swings will challenge both people and infrastructure. The West is bracing for atmospheric whiplash as spring finally returns, bringing hope for recovery, but also a reminder of nature's unpredictability. The question now: how will the region handle this dramatic shift? Communities, emergency services, and families must adapt quickly, learning from this extraordinary event as they prepare for whatever comes next. Before we can truly appreciate the relief that's on the horizon, it's important to understand just how extraordinary this heat wave has been. The western United States has been gripped by a relentless, record-shattering stretch of heat, one that meteorologists and residents alike will remember for years to come. Temperatures soared to levels rarely seen outside the peak of summer, pushing people, infrastructure, and nature to their limits. The extremity of this heat wave has been nothing short of historic. Nearly 700 monthly high-temperature records and over 2,000 daily records have fallen across the West, shattering previous benchmarks and leaving meteorologists stunned by the scale and intensity of the heat. In Phoenix, the mercury climbed above 105 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 consecutive days, temperatures more typical of the heart of July or August, not the early part of the season. Streets emptied as residents sought shelter from the punishing sun. Palm Springs hit a staggering 108 degrees Fahrenheit, while Yuma soared to 109 degrees Fahrenheit. These are not just uncomfortable numbers, they're dangerous, especially for vulnerable populations and those without access to cooling. The heat dome responsible for this event stretched from the desert southwest all the way to the Pacific Northwest, trapping heat and leaving little overnight relief. Even after sunset, temperatures remained stubbornly high, offering no real break. This relentless warmth dried out soils and vegetation, priming the region for fire. Wildfire risk has skyrocketed, with parched landscapes now more vulnerable than ever. The culprit behind this extreme event is a stubborn ridge of high pressure, which has acted like a wall, blocking cooler Pacific storms from reaching the west and locking in the heat. Air trapped beneath this dome sinks and heats up, creating a feedback loop that drives temperatures even higher. Each day, the heat builds, compounding the stress on people and the environment. But now, after days of relentless heat, the pattern is finally breaking. The atmosphere is shifting, and the door is opening for long-awaited change. The West is about to trade record heat for a much-needed cooldown. For many, this shift will feel like a breath of fresh air after weeks of oppressive conditions. The atmosphere is loosening its grip, and clouds are gathering, signaling the end of this historic heat wave. Communities across the region are preparing for the reset, welcoming the cooler air, and hoping for rain to ease the drought and fire risk. The stage is set for a dramatic weather reversal as the West gets ready to turn the page on one of the most intense heat waves in its history. The transition to a new weather pattern begins this weekend as the first of 3 storms approaches, a modest system, but one that signals a dramatic shift for the Southwest. After weeks of relentless heat and bone-dry skies, this incoming disturbance marks the start of a much-anticipated change. Its main impact will be to draw precious moisture northward, breaking the stranglehold of arid air that has dominated the region. For many, the sight of thickening clouds and the scent of rain on dust will be a welcome relief, even if only temporary. Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado will experience scattered high-base thunderstorms. Those dramatic storms where rain often evaporates before it can reach the ground, leaving only streaks in the sky and a tantalizing promise of relief. These storms may be fleeting, but they signal that the atmosphere is beginning to shift. The real threat, however, comes not from rain, but from gusty winds and lightning. With the land so parched, these elements raise the risk of wildfires, as even a single bolt can ignite dry brush and grass. Dry vegetation is like tinder, ready to catch fire at the slightest spark. Fire crews across the region are on high alert, knowing that a fast-moving blaze could erupt with little warning. Blowing dust is another hazard, as strong winds whip up loose soil and sand, reducing visibility on highways and making travel treacherous. Drivers are urged to use caution, as sudden dust storms can appear with little warning. This first storm is more a warning shot than a cure. While it may bring a brief break from the relentless sun, true relief from the heat will be minimal at first. The land remains thirsty, and the atmosphere is only beginning to change. You might notice the air feeling a bit more humid, a subtle stickiness that hints at what's to come. Dew points will rise, and the landscape will start to feel less brittle, but the real transformation is still on the horizon. Think of this as the opening act, a prelude that primes the atmosphere for bigger, more significant changes. The clouds gathering now are just the beginning of a larger story unfolding across the West. The high-pressure dome that has kept the region locked in heat is finally weakening, allowing new weather patterns to take hold. This breakdown is crucial, setting the stage for more substantial storms in the days ahead. The stage is set for more significant storms, systems that could bring real rain, cooler temperatures, and a much-needed reprieve from drought. The West is on the cusp of real change. As the atmosphere stirs and the first storm rolls in, hope grows that relief is finally on the way. The second storm, arriving Tuesday, brings the real change, especially for California. After weeks without rain, this system promises widespread beneficial moisture. Rain will reach much of California, northern Nevada, southern Oregon, and Idaho. San Francisco could see its most significant rainfall since February, a welcome soaking for thirsty landscapes. This storm is the main driver of the big cool-down, ushering in a fresh marine air mass. Temperatures will tumble, and the oppressive heat will quickly fade. The weather pattern hits reset, flushing out hot, dry air for cool, moist ocean breezes. Higher elevations in the Sierra Nevada will see new snow, boosting the critical snowpack. While not a drought buster, this storm slows snowmelt and adds to water reserves. The heart of the pattern change is here: rain, snow, and a dramatic drop in temperatures. Relief arrives for millions, but the story isn't over yet. The West finally gets a taste of spring. The most dramatic effect: temperatures plummet across the region. Sacramento drops from the 80s to the 60s, a 20-degree swing that signals a true pattern shift. Los Angeles cools from the 80s to near 70, breaking the heat's grip and restoring seasonable comfort. Even Phoenix, after days above 105-degree Fahrenheit, will see highs fall into the low 80s. The air will feel fresher and cleaner, a welcome change for millions. This is the kind of weather whiplash that gets everyone's attention. The oppressive warmth is replaced by cool, comfortable air. The storms bring immediate, profound relief. The West is finally breathing easier. Spring has returned in dramatic fashion. As the second storm exits, a third, more potent system targets the Pacific Northwest. Arriving Wednesday, it brings heavy rain and mountain snow to Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. Coastal and mountain regions will see a thorough soaking, classic Pacific Northwest weather. The storm spreads moisture into the Rockies, benefiting Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. Lower snow levels mean substantial new snowpack for the Cascades and Rockies, This late-season snow is vital for water supplies heading into summer. The third storm cements the pattern change, flushing out lingering warmth. The heat wave is decisively ended. The West is locked into a cooler, wetter regime. The grand finale, spring storms reclaim the region. While the storms bring relief, they also introduce new hazards. The first storm's lightning and winds could spark wildfires on parched ground. Blowing dust, especially in desert regions, may cause sudden, dangerous drops in visibility. Gusty winds can damage trees, knock out power, and make travel hazardous for high-profile vehicles. Rain on burn scars raises the risk of flash flooding and debris flows. Residents near recent wildfires should stay alert for flood warnings. The transition is messy. Extremes rarely shift quietly. Stay weather aware as the West navigates this volatile period. Relief comes with risks. Vigilance is key. These storms offer relief, but they're no cure for the West's long-term drought. The rain and snow are a welcome payment, but the region's water debt remains. The Colorado River Basin and much of the Southwest will see only spotty, localized precipitation. Drought and water supply issues persist even after the storms pass. Wildfire danger will briefly ease, but deep dryness in larger fuels remains. Once the sun returns, fire risk will quickly rebound. This is the reality of climate change in the West. Weather whiplash from one extreme to another. Celebrate the relief, but recognize the chronic challenges ahead. The storms are a pause, not a solution. The long, dry season still looms. The West is set for a dramatic atmospheric reset as the heat wave ends. 3 Pacific storms will bring cooler air, rain, and mountain snow, relief at last. Temperatures will drop by up to 25 degrees, and parched landscapes will finally get moisture. But the storms bring hazards, wind, dust, and fire risk. Stay prepared, secure loose items, and watch for changing forecasts. This is a powerful reminder of the atmosphere's ability to reset itself. The heat is gone, storms are in charge, and spring has truly arrived. For now, the West can breathe easy until the next challenge appears.